JT, my friend here.
Well, not getting the 8.8 in quite just yet, and really hate dumping any money into my 35 that I have, but I have to. My brakes are acting terrible. I was thinking I was just gonna have to maybe bleed the brakes really good. I pulled the rear brake drums off, and I noticed that there was like a lot of play between the shoes and the drum. So I adjusted the adjuster out the whole way, and it's still not even touching the drum. So I figured I'll just go ahead and replace the pads. I'm guessing the adjuster's out the whole way and the pads aren't grabbing the drum, so the brakes just are terrible. I meant to do these forever ago, and when I went to go do them, the pads actually looked pretty good at the time. And I figured, alright, well, I'll just send those back and then use that money for other stuff. I kept the hardware and the cylinders. Might as well go ahead and throw the cylinders on if I have them. I'm not going to get any money out of those. So I'm going to replace the cylinders, the hardware, and the pads. I'll just scuff up the drums if I can't get them turned somewhere really cheap. I don't have a big issue putting 25 bucks into the rear brakes. You know, I'm not going to use the 35 much longer. I'm hoping that the 8.8 will get in sometime in the fall, or I don't know what the schedule is going to be like. But I'm going to be going wheeling a couple times in July and hopefully some more after that. So I figure I really need the brakes because they just don't hold very well at all. So 25 bucks into this isn't a problem. Hopefully that takes care of everything. Obviously I'm going to have to bleed the brakes after if I replace the cylinders. And, oh, crap. I just forgot I needed to go get a new torch. I was going to go get a new MAP gas torch kit because the propane one just isn't cutting, and I need to go get the MAP one. I don't have a big oxyacetylene setup or whatever. So anyway, I'll probably have to head out here and get a new torch set because the bolts on the back of those wheel cylinders are pretty nasty. So I need to heat those up a good bit so I can get those out. So hopefully this goes smoothly. I've never actually done drum brakes before, so I watched a couple videos. I'm just going to do one side at a time so I can always use the other side as a reference. But I got everything kind of cleaned up. They look just terrible. These have never been done. I've had the Jeep like 4 years. So this will be my first attempt at drum brakes. So hopefully this goes well. And yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and get to work. Alright, so it's now almost a week later. I ran out of time. Sorry I've got this a little bit of a cold or sinus thing or whatever, so try not to talk too much. But I did get the wheel cylinder out on this side and put the new one in. So that's in. I did have to heat the back of this pretty good to get both bolts out for this and to get onto that line, to get the line off. So I couldn't put the bolts back in because I didn't want to use the bolts since they were so rounded, which you didn't get to see that because I didn't film. I forgot to do that. This is one of the bolts. I ended up having to hammer a 12 point on to get it out. They were so rounded. So they're both that way, but they're an odd size. They're quarter inch, but they're like 3/8 long, and most stores only sell like 1/4 inch. or sorry, 1/2 inch. So I bought 4 of these and then cut them down to this size, so you can see, you know, how big they are. These have a little more of a flange on them. So I went ahead and tried something out. I heard a trick on cutting these down and I tried it. Seems like it works pretty well, so I'll go ahead and show you what I did. This is taking me a little longer than it should because this is the first time I've done shoes and drums. So it turns out this shorter pad is supposed to be facing the front of the vehicle. Well, I had that on backwards when I was putting this together. So yeah, so I had to take this all back apart and then switch everything. These pins that fit in here for the self-adjuster, they don't fit too well in these. So what I ended up having to do is put them in, and some people apparently can use vice grips and clamp them in, but I ended up having to use a socket in the vice and put them in there and then crank on it, and then it, you know, went in place. So that's what I did for this. So that's set. So I'll work on putting this in, but I got to get these bolts cut down, and then I can put those in the wheel cylinder that's in the Jeep right now. Try to button that side up, and then I'll shoot over on the other side and try to video that side a little more, because I kind of left out some of the video of putting this stuff together. So one of the things I heard you could do is put a nut on the bolt that you're trying to cut, and whenever you finish cutting it, you can back this off and it helps clean the threads up a bit. Also, what I did is I'm setting it to where I need to cut, so I'll match these two up a little bit, so then I can put this in the vise, and then I can have this edge be where I'm going to cut with the hacksaw. I'm sure there's probably a better way to do it, or somebody else has a better idea, but this is what I'm going to do, and it seemed to work for this one, so that's what we'll do. The reason you have to cut these down is this wheel cylinder, it only goes so deep. So that's where the bolt bottoms out. If you use this 1/4 inch one, and you take it in the whole way, and it sits further out. So I mean, you could get washers or something, but I figure it's probably better to do this rather than have a bunch of washers on here. One other thing to note is whenever you're cutting these, obviously the threads are like at an angle, so when you cut with the nut, it's going to be a little off. So when you cut it, you'll end up having probably like a little piece that hangs off the end. So when you back this out, it helps pull the little angle of like a piece of thread off, but chances are you're probably going to have to cut like a little bit off, just so you can start threading stuff. So I just take a file and kind of like pull it off to the one side and then just shave it off real quick, and it usually comes off pretty decent. I ended up using the Sawzall instead of the hacksaw. Just went a lot faster, especially since my hacksaw blade's dull and I didn't feel like changing it. So I think that worked out pretty well. So I don't want to buy new drums because they're going to be too expensive, especially if we're just going to be getting rid of this axle in the end anyway. So there is some scoring on the inside here, but I've heard you can just go ahead and get some sandpaper and just go around it and do, you know, one way and then the other, and then that helps with friction. So we'll give that a shot. Hopefully that'll help get these by until, you know, for a few more months of wheeling, because I don't really drive Jeep around all that much. So hopefully we'll go ahead and do that and see how that helps, if it does at all. And
yeah, it should be done. Alright, I'm going to try to make this quick. Camera was inside and it was really cold and it's really humid in the garage, so the lens might get a little cloudy, so image might get a little weird. But something just didn't seem right when I was trying to put the drums on, that it wouldn't actually go over. Like, I had to hit it with a hammer to get the drum on, which, you know, adjuster was all the way in. Like, I checked so much stuff, like everything was on exactly the way it was before. I checked the barrel adjuster to see if maybe the new one was longer. I put the old one in and I swapped out things, and like it was the exact same every single time. The only thing I could think of that would make a difference other than all that stuff would just be the new shoes, that maybe something was wrong with them. I went online and looked at the reviews. There's a handful of other guys who said that they tried those shoes and they couldn't get their drum on. They went with another brand of shoes and they went right on. So one guy said they tried Napa, so I went out this morning, got some Napa shoes. I'm gonna throw those on, see if they make a difference. Last night I took the shoes off and did a bunch of measurements to try to see, you know, if something was off, like noticeably. But nothing was really noticeably off, but I guess if something's like the slightest bit, like a 16th or something, could make a difference whether the drum could get on or not. So I don't know. I mean, if this doesn't happen, the shoes are just gonna have to be on, it's gonna have to be what it's gonna be, and then they'll just get worn down. But I figure I'd just try to start off right, so since it just didn't seem right. So I'm gonna go ahead and throw these on. Not that it's a big deal. The nice thing is they have that pin already in these Napa shoes. Those ones you had to press them in. But I don't know if it'll make a big difference. The pin is longer in this one than these ones. We put them up side by side. The one's a little longer, but I don't think that should make too much of a difference. I'm gonna go ahead and put these in. These have like a tapered edge on them. The other ones were just, you know, they were just built out and went straight down. I don't know if that would make a difference. I kind of doubt it, but I mean, I don't know. I don't know anything about drums. So, alright, I'm gonna go ahead and put these on and we'll see what happens. So the Napa shoes did the trick. I don't know what is actually off from these, from the advanced ones. Wherever ones is the brand, they're from Advanced. But these ones seem to be so much better. The other ones, I did notice that the thickness on this pad on the other ones was pretty much the same as this pad. But this one's thinner and this one's thicker. So I don't know if that had something to do with it or if it was something else, but drum actually goes on. It's a lot better now. So I'm gonna go ahead and adjust this one, go over to the other side, get that one done, and hopefully finally be done with this whole thing. Before I go anywhere else while I have this side on, I will say that I learned some things from whenever I first went around and did this. I've had these shoes, the shoes on and off so many times that getting these shoes on and off is really not a problem now. And I found out some tricks. This tool really helps. I don't know what the rest of these are for, but this end really helps for getting springs on. So you just grab the spring, so the spring sits on here, and this has like a lip on it, and that catches that nub, and then you just go like that, and it eventually slides over, goes right on. I was using vice grips before, which works, but use leverage rather than muscle. The other thing is I would try putting the self-adjusting cable on down at the bottom, route it up, and then put it on, and then have to get this on too. But this kept getting unseated from the shoe. So if you put this on, route it and just dangle it, and then put your springs on so everything stays in place, Then you can come down here, grab a screwdriver, so it's underneath this, and then lifts up and it goes above the barrel adjuster. That screwdriver stays in place, lifts this up so much higher, so you don't even have to stretch the spring out, it just flips right over. So these are a lot better. I really can't complain. I think the hardest part about the whole thing is just getting these on. I use clamps. I just stick them up, you know, on either side of the shoe up here to help keep these in place, because when you put these on, I don't know if it's just mine or what, but they still want to like lift out this way. Nothing's holding them on anywhere else. I mean, I'm sure there's probably other tricks and stuff that help you get through, but this is what I figured out. I feel like this is going to be a really long video just for brakes, so I apologize for that. Alright, finally enough of me talking. I'm going to go get the other side done and get this wrapped up. Alrighty guys, brakes are done. Not going to go drive right now because it's a torrential downpour right now. And we finished just in time because look who decided to join us. All of the water from outside. Just look. Look how great that is. Oh, it's really coming in down there. Here we go. Better get my jack out of the way. Yeah, I gotta do something about that. That's no good. Yeah, so I better get out of here, so we'll see you in the next one.
Thanks for watching this video, guys. Be sure to like it, tell me what you think in the comments, click subscribe so you don't miss out on any of my upcoming projects and wheeling trips. Follow me on Instagram and Facebook to catch posts of videos in the making. See you next time.